What's up? I'm the Calcara 131, and this is my do everything rifle. So, my do-it-all rifle. I call it my do-it-all rifle, do-everything rifle, jack-of-all-trades, whatever you want to call it. It's basically just my version of the only rifle that I currently have. I've built one or two other ARs. Hang on. There we go. Much more better. I've built one or two other AR-15s, but this is the only one that is actually mine. And because of my financial situation, as well as just my personality, I guess you could say, I don't really want to have like 4 or 5 or 6 AR-15s that, you know, I have like one 11.5 inch Mark 18 sort of build, and I have another 20-inch rifle, and I have a lot of different ones. I really don't want to have that many. I'd rather just have one that I can use to put a lot of time on, and then have it be decent at everything, and that's what this rifle mainly is. So, as Daddy Grand would say, we're gonna go tip to butt and check this thing out. All right, so out here on the end, my muzzle device, before anyone freaks out, totally unloaded, no mag, don't freak out. All right, so muzzle device, and I chose, this is the AFAB, the Advanced Flash Arresting Brake by Precision Armament. I picked this one because, as you can pretty much tell, and again, keeping in theme with the whole crossover do-everything rifle, this is a hybrid muzzle brake and flash hider. 3 prongs out here work to kind of disperse some of the gases and act like a flash hider. And then a series of ports back here going around through the top part of the muzzle brake that act like a muzzle brake. It kind of helps keep it flat, reduce recoil a bit. Closed bottom, so if you're shooting prone, it doesn't kick up a lot of dust. I'll try to roll in a better picture. I don't know how well you can see, but they include a pre-drilled hole right here. So if you're attaching it to a 14.5 inch barrel like this, there's a pre-drilled hole already there, so you can drill and tap it and roll it in place to make it legal. The only con that I have about the AFAB is that it requires, well, it's recommended, let me put it that way. Precision Armament recommends that you use their AccuWasher alignment set instead of a normal crush washer. So that could be a pro or a con. If you already have a crush washer set because you have other Precision Armament muzzle devices, then that might be a good thing for you. If you like using crush washers or you have extra of those, it's probably a con, but it's sold separately, so you do have to buy that AccuWasher set separately. Moving back, the heart of the rifle, the barrel, this is a Ballistic Advantage 14.5 inch Hanson profile. I went with this one because the Hanson profile is Ballistic Advantage's contoured barrel profile, basically, and that is a barrel profile which is much more suited for civilian use, I think. It's thicker back here where a lot of the head pressure is and a lot of the pressure is. As it goes out, it tapers, so there's no unnecessary weight farther out here. You know, a lot of the popular barrel profiles, the M4, government, yada yada, a lot of them are unnecessarily heavy for one reason or another. It could be for mounting a M203 grenade launcher. I don't think many civilians are going to be doing that. I wish. Or it could be, you know, logistical, bureaucratic reasons from whenever the military transitioned from the M16 to the M4 and they wanted to make a rifle lighter again. So they changed part of the barrel profile, but regardless. So this is a taper barrel. I like a taper barrel. The other reason I picked it, I'll roll in some pictures so you can see a bit easier, but it has a pinned gas block. Now, a pinned gas block is about as bomb-proof as you can get. So the standard A2 front sight block is pinned, and that's what makes it so rugged and reliable. A lot of low profile gas blocks are going to have just set screws. The barrel might be dimpled for the set screws to go into, but it's just not as reliable as pinning, and that's what the Hanson profile does. They pin their barrel and they pin their gas block to the barrel, and it's the gas block is pre-included with the barrel. I really like that too. Like I said, it's about as reliable as you can get, really, outside of HM Defense with their monoblock system. The gas block actually machined into the barrel. Okay, yeah, sure, I'll give them that. But pinning a gas block is about as reliable a system as you're going to get. Going over here to the light, this is a Surefire M600 dual fuel on a Aero mount, Surefire tape switch with a cloud defensive LCS. I'm planning on upgrading this to a mod light head pretty soon, but works perfectly fine for me. I keep it kind of farther back than some other people might, because I don't like always having to clean carbon buildup and shit off of that the head of this light. I have a cleanse on it from Thyrum, but still, yeah, keeping it farther back, you don't have to worry about those gases and everything. Also, one issue I've heard some people say they have with keeping it farther back, if you are going through a room in a military or police idea or just a training class or whatever, and you have it farther back, you do get a little bit of a shadow from the edge of this barrel and all this right here because it's behind that. But my response to that is, if you're clearing a room, why are you just pointing in one direction and you have a shadow down here? Why aren't you moving and scanning? So if you're actually clearing rooms, you know, pretty much the right way, it's a non-issue, because you're never just going to be standing in one spot like this and have a shadow in one spot. You're going to be moving and scanning, so it's not a very big deal. Below that, I have a BCM CAG, a Kinesthetic angled grip, and this is a collaboration between BCM and our overlord, Travis Haley. It's a biomechanically made and engineered foregrip. So if you grip it like this, it tucks right into here on the meat of your hand. Lets you pull the rifle back really well into your shoulder. Get a lot of control with it. So I have that down here on the bottom. Moving back, I have the M4 enhanced receiver set from Aero Precision. I love their stuff. They're pretty universally accepted to be solid. The lower receiver has a nicely beveled magwell, integrated trigger guard with some relief cuts in it. A lot of the angles and the styling of it makes it look almost like a billet receiver while still having the reliability and strength of a forged receiver. They have a couple spots where instead of just using a roll pin, they have set screws. It's a convenient addition. I have the Geissele semi-dynamic combat trigger. Hardly any take up. Awesome trigger. I love this thing. And again, it's a Geissele product. They're, again, universally accepted to be great, solid products. Radian Talon safety selector, 45 degrees. Radian Raptor LT charging handle. Magpul bad lever here. Battery assist device. So when you run empty, your bolt locks back. You have this pin right here, or this little lever. Push it down, releases your bolt. It's a lot really convenient. Helps you lock it back if you have to clear malfunctions, and it doesn't get in the way. I've heard some people say that they think it gets in the way. It's in the trigger guard. They don't want to worry about shit like that, and it doesn't get in the way. Get one and actually practice with it. You'll figure out real quick it isn't an issue. I completely skipped over the handguard that I'm using. This is the BCM MCMR. As is becoming a theme with a lot of these stuff, it is pretty much universally accepted to be solid. The MCMR series and pretty much anything BCM is great. It's solid. You can't get much better unless you spend a lot of money, like Geissele Mark 5s and shit like that. But almost double the price, 50% more, whatever. But I love it. It's nice and thin. You can get your hand around it really easily. It feels good in your hand. There's no sharp edges, made well. And remember, everybody, it's not always size that matters. Sometimes the skinnier ones feel better. Sling you see hanging down here, this is the Magpul Ms4. As I understand it, the Ms4 is just the Magpul Ms1 with some different hardware on it. It has this adapter here, so if you want to run it in a 1-point configuration, you can just attach your push buttons into that. Alright, the grip is just a basic Magpul MOE grip. I have some Ranger bands put around it, so, you know, just in case the Boogaloo happens and the aliens invade, and you're on the run in the forest, guerrilla warfare everything, you have some Ranger bands, you know, just in case. But also, it just feels a little bit better for me. It has sort of a more rubbery grip, locks my hand in a bit better, I think. Inside this MOE grip, I'm not going to bother taking it out, but I have a spare BCM bolt also. Just buy a spare bolt, put it in a small Ziploc bag, throw some oil in it, put it in here. It's just a convenient bit of insurance, really. A lot of the stuff that's going to go wrong that you can reasonably fix with an AR-15 is going to be the bolt. So having a spare one is just easy, cheap insurance, really. Moving back, I have the trying to think of the specific name. I'll annotate it in if I get it wrong. I believe this buffer system is the BCM intermediate buffer system. I think that's what it is. I'm not positive on the exact name. It's BCM's version of the Voltor A5 system, which, for those of you that aren't aware, the Voltor A5 is a rifle length buffer system put on a carbine. So the spring's a little bit longer. It just helps absorb a little bit more of the recoil. One thing to note about the Voltor A5, or more specifically the BCM version, it ships with the Voltor A5-0 buffer, which it goes from 0 to 5, as far as I'm aware. It's only the 5 weights, and as you go up in numbers, it gets heavier. You kind of want to get the heaviest. Damn it! You kind of want to get the heaviest buffer weight you can that'll still work reliably with your rifle and the ammo you choose to run, all of that. The heavier your buffer weight, the more it's going to absorb the recoil even more. It's going to mute that recoil impulse a little bit more. Of course, the trade-off is if you get one that's too heavy, it's not going to reliably come back enough to pick up a new round from the magazine. So I'm thinking about getting the A5-2 and checking that out. That's, from what I've seen, a pretty general average for what a lot of rifles will run. I'm thinking about picking one of those up and trying it out. I might do an update video on that to see how the A5-2 works with this specific setup. Something else I will admit that I completely forgot is the bolt carrier group I'm running. This is the Fail Zero bolt carrier group, a Fail Zero bolt carrier group. It started out a nice sort of stereotypical satin nickel boron coating. It looked pretty good. After a couple, 1,000 rounds, not a lot of cleanings, it got stained this sort of dark chrome looking color, which at first I was kind of upset about when I figured out that I couldn't clean it off. And then I got to looking at it a little bit more and I realized, hey, I actually like that dark chrome look. So, could be a con, could be a positive. Either way, it still has a lot of the natural lubricity of nickel boron. After 5,000-6,000 rounds ish, some trip through a sonic cleaner, some wear and tear, I think a lot of the natural coating has worn off, but it's still there a bit. It's still slicker than a phosphate, and even with it kind of worn down like that, it still runs perfectly fine. The dust cover I have here has a Latin phrase in it, Sic transit gloria mundi. That is a quote from the Monster Hunter International series, novel series by Larry Correia. Side note on that, I'm planning on doing a whole video going over that as a solid book series for gun guys. If you are, if you're into guns, you like action, stuff like that, but you're also into magic and monsters, werewolves, vampires, zombies, all of that sort of stuff, I cannot recommend the Monster Hunter International series enough. It's an incredible series. undoubtedly my favorite book series of all time. I can and I have just read through the entire series just to restart and do it all again. It's my favorite series. The Transit Gloria Mundi is a quote from mainly from the first book, but it's said in a couple of the other ones. If you want to know what it means, pick up Monster Hunter International by Larry Correia and check it out. So, I don't think I've missed anything. Again, I probably have, but K&S Precision anti-walk pins, little unimportant bit, but like I said, the BCM Voltor A5 buffer system on the back. This is just a basic Magpul ACS stock. Rattling around in here, I have a couple CR123 batteries. I need to put some like tissue paper in there or something just so they stop rattling around, but it doesn't bother me all that much. And that's pretty much the complete overview. I can't think of anything I missed on this thing. Oh, I missed the big thing on top. This is a Primary Arms 1-6 Gen 3 Optic. I think this is now their classic line because I got this years ago. Basic, budget, low power variable optic, 1-6 power. The ACSS system from Primary Arms and Dimitri is incredible. It's wonderful. It has ranging features for several different ways, wind offsets, bullet drop. I think there's moving target indicators in it. It's light. It's pretty reliable for like $300. If you want to check out some, look up some reviews on the Primary Arms optics. Again, they're almost universally accepted to be really good for the money. So, and it's mounted up in I think this is an Aero Precision basic sort of mount. I'm not positive because I painted over it and I've had it again for years. But I've had no issues with these at all. I'm not overly hard on my equipment, but I don't take it easy on it either. But there's no cracks, no big issues, no dings. I painted it and then I scratched it all back off, so there's some scrapes on it, but no issues. Only con that I would have for this 1-6 from Primary Arms, the illumination is 100% not daylight bright. Right over here, you got the illumination dial. Turn it up to 11. Yeah, no. It is, you can tell it's lightened up. You can tell it's on, but not by much. You can hardly tell this thing is on at all. So that's the only con that I could give for it. I know the battery is relatively fresh too, so don't be saying that. I went out not too long ago and I had to replace it, and I never used the illumination. So it's pretty new, and it's never been daylight bright. That has been remedied by some of their newer optics from what I've heard, but this is the only one I have. So that's the Primary Arms 1-6, and that is also the entirety of this do-everything jack-of-all-trades rifle. So as I said, I'd rather just have one rifle that I practice a lot with and I get really proficient with that's pretty good at everything but not great at anything. You know, a 14.5, or if you wanted to, you could get a 13.7 inch barrel also. They're decent at long range. They're pretty good at up close stuff, you know, tactical mall ninja stuff. They're good at everything but not great at anything. So I would happily take one rifle that is good at everything over 3 or 4 that are great at everything. I'd rather have just one rifle that I can pick up, and assuming you practice enough and you've had some training, you can be pretty good at anything you want to do with one rifle. Saves you money, easier to get practice with it because you're not dividing your practice time up between multiple systems, and you get to really know and get in tune with this one rifle. So that is my do everything rifle overview. I'm going to be doing an update on this soon-ish, as soon as Hollow Sun releases their 512 Elite red dot. I'm going to be replacing this with it. I have found that while it is nice to be able to turn it up to 6 power and do some longer range shooting, I don't really do it a lot. I'm just not a super big fan of long range shooting. I do it on occasion, which is why I originally went 1 to 6, but I've kind of figured out I'm just not a overly big fan of it, so I'm definitely going to switch to a red dot. I'll probably get one of the Hollow Sun flip to side magnifiers as well, so if I do want to go back to some slightly more long range, intermediate, medium range stuff, I can just flip a 3x magnifier over and have that. But there's a couple other little additions and upgrades I want to do. Again, I said I want to do the mod light head, but that's largely my current do-everything rifle. What do you guys think? Do you like the idea of having a do-everything rifle? Would you rather have multiple rifles that are great at everything? Or do you agree with me? Would you rather have one rifle that's pretty good at everything? Tell me down in the comments below. If you liked the video, found it informative, give me a thumbs up, hit and subscribe for some of the future content I have coming out. This is the Calcar 131, signing off.